Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Godzilla Rant video. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I thought I would do yet another one into this series. For those of you that are newbies to my channel, the Godzilla Rant series is where I talk about certain things that I find to be very interesting, and if I can find an angle where I can critique something, and then that's when I talk about them here. They're outside of the realm of the usual talk related to Godzilla or to the cryptids and monsters or to the urban legends, so that's why I place them within this particular series. So I just talk about stuff outside of the normal when it comes to my YouTube channel. I find some pretty interesting things, so if you haven't had a chance, check out my other stuff related to the Godzilla Rant series. This one has to do with a recently released film that I just saw. I saw it the other day at the Alamo Drafthouse here in Austin, and it has to do with the Ninja Turtles film. For those of you that haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It is a good film. Good in the sense that it's a good summer popcorn type film. It reminded me of how much fun movies can be. There seems to be a trend these days where movies that are coming out in the summer, especially anything involving like superhero type films, they all have to be like pretty serious stuff, heavy on the drama. Of course it has to do with them being I guess grounded in realism, but I mean, when you watch movies like the Captain America film, or when you watch movies like the X-Men film, or even last year like the Superman film, you know, those are movies where you don't necessarily, I mean, you know that what you saw was something worth watching, but it doesn't necessarily put you in a better mood. And this particular film, the Ninja Turtle films, again, it was like a breath of fresh air, reminding me how much fun these movies can be. So if you have a chance, check it out. I do recommend it. It's a fun movie. Again, leave your brain at the door. But if you're able to take all the seriousness away from the film, and as far as critiquing anything like the script or the acting or anything like that, again, you're in the wrong movie. But if you're willing to just relax and have some fun, it is a good film to watch on there. Very good special effects, good action, good storyline, good acting for what it's worth from both Megan Fox and the other actors within the film, and even the Turtles themselves. I mean, they're the best. I would call the best incarnation I've seen when it comes to anything involving CGI-related characters out there. So, in any case, this particular Godzilla Rant has to do with the character Eric Sachs. And for those of you that haven't seen the film, I advise you to stop right now, because what I'm going to talk about has to do with some spoilers associated with the film. So again, if you haven't seen it and you don't want any spoiled stuff, stop right now, go watch the movie, and then come back. And then that way, you and I, you'll be able to hear exactly what I'm talking about and know what it means. So for those of you that have and want to listen, this is essentially what happened. I have been following the film a little bit from its creation. When it was first announced a couple of years back, whenever Michael Bay, the producer, first bought it, or bought the rights for the movie, so that way he could produce it under his production company. I think it's called Platinum Dunes. I even thought about doing like a separate series of some sort, where I would talk about the news associated with the film, kind of like the Godzilla news podcast that I've been doing for all these years. I thought about adding the Ninja Turtles because they are such a beloved set of characters for me. I love them. I've loved them since I was ever a kid. But the reason why I didn't on there was because of the fact that there was very, very little news to report on. So I just thought I would just, stop on that point after a certain amount of news was very limited. I might even consider doing it again for the sequel, so expect to hear something related to that as far as the channel. But with regards to Eric Sachs, whenever I was paying attention to the early production in the film, the actor that signed up for the Eric Sachs character, he's a well-known actor. He goes by the name of William Fichtner. He's one of those guys where you've seen him in so many films, but you can't really his name doesn't necessarily come to mind immediately. One of those actors where, hey, I've seen you before, and your name is, and then you trail off. That's exactly the type of actor that he is. He's good in that he's in so many films, but he's not to the level where people are recognizing him on a worldwide basis like a superstar. In any case, when he was signed on, he revealed very early on in various interviews that he was going to be the Shredder. Like, he was actually, his character, Eric Sachs, is the Shredder. And what's fascinating after watching this film is that it is so blatantly obvious that somewhere along the way, probably after about, let's say, 90% of the film had been done, and the film itself was going to be, let's say, a month or two away from being released, that somewhere along the way, somebody, some producer, somebody behind the scenes, some studio, whoever, somebody decided, you know what, let's not make him the Shredder, let's instead make him be someone else entirely, the same character, just not necessarily the Shredder, and then introduce someone else as the Shredder. So for those of you that's seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It turns out that William Fichtner's character, Eric Sachs, in the film is not the Shredder, and it's revealed somewhere towards the middle point of the film, whenever he's talking to a man that's always pretty much hidden in shadows, his face mostly hidden in shadows, although you can see some scars on one side of his face, and then he addresses him as both Master, and he addresses him as Shredder, and then the other characters eventually do as well. So what's fascinating about this is that knowing this information beforehand and then watching the film afterwards, it's fascinating to see that this decision to make Eric Sachs's character not be the Shredder was done so late in the game, because so much of the film, after I saw it on theaters, so much of the film plays to the fact that William Fichtner's character is the Shredder, and then every now and then there's just a few scenes spliced in to try to prove that he is not the Shredder and is in fact answering to someone else as the Shredder. And when I say it's blatantly obvious, it has to do with the fact that after you've seen the movie, if you can take away any of those scenes where William Fichtner's character is standing next to his master and talking about it, you could easily take those scenes away and it will not impact the film in any manner. One could easily tell that those were all filmed post-production. Those were all filmed very late in the game. Proof positive, again, comes in the fact that William Fichtner's character was going to be the Shredder with regards to interviews that he did, where he said it's exciting to be playing the Shredder and that he signed on for 3 films. So what happens to his character in the film, later on in the end, what happens to Eric Sachs's character is he lives in the film to come back either for the second movie or maybe even the third movie. But the way that the movie played out, it totally made sense for him to be the Shredder, only for someone else to instead be the Shredder. And that's why I have a gripe with regards to this film, because I thought that they should have left it as is. I thought that they should have had Fichtner's actor's character left as a Shredder, because it made so much more sense. Proof positive, again, comes from the fact that besides him talking about this in interviews that he was going to be the Shredder, there's also a French trailer, which I've included a link to below, that has William Fichtner's voice as the Shredder within the trailer itself. Again, that shows how late in production this decision was to not make him the Shredder, because when you have a trailer that's being released just maybe a month or two before the film is out, and it has finalized work of him in voice as the Shredder, that shows again how late this decision was. Why it was done, I have no idea. I don't know if they were trying to stay loyal to maybe the fan base, to the Ninja Turtle fan base, and have it be somebody that's not, let's say, American, somebody that's not Anglo-Saxon. Why they had this done, I don't know at that point, but it seemed like it was a rushed decision, and it was a badly edited decision, because again, the scenes involving him and the real Shredder, the quote-unquote real Shredder within the film, totally seem out of place. Like, they do not seem like they should have been involved within the film. They seemed out of the context of whatever was happening around them. Another proof positive comes with the fact that at the end of the movie, there's the big fight scene between the Shredder and the 4 turtles on top of the building that Eric Sachs owns. And for some kooky reason, you have Eric Sachs's character now trying to set up and start the mutagen, which the main plot of the film was that the mutagen that was used to essentially create the turtles was now going to be used as something to either try to poison most of New York or something to try to alter and mutate most of New York citizens. And so you had a situation where the shredder, the quote-unquote shredder that was on top of the building, was trying to set it up at the same time that Fitchner's character was in one of the lower levels trying to set up the mutagen as well. That didn't make sense. Again, it seemed like it was a decision that they had to do something to separate the two characters, and so the producers thought, okay, now that we're going with this new decision to not make Fitchner's character the Shredder, let's place him in another level, but let's have him pretty much do the same thing as the Shredder is doing on top, which is essentially trying to make the mutagen spread out. It doesn't make sense again, because if he would have stayed as the Shredder, and he was as the Shredder in costume up on the top floor, and he was the one that was essentially setting the mutagen free, then that makes much more sense that all of this happened at the top of the building and nowhere else. Another proof positive comes from the fact that towards the very, very final part of the film, when the Shredder is almost defeated, April O'Neil's character, played by Megan Fox, does the final blow. And the reason why, the final kick, in other words, towards the Shredder that knocks him way off and then has him fall, who knows, 50 floors, anything like that, to just land on the street, now defeated, in other words. And the reason why this had less of an impact was because, again, with the late decision done in the film of having the Shredder played by someone else other than Eric Sachs's character, it seemed like it was thrown out there for no reason. Why would April be involved like that? Seriously, why would she take it so seriously to try to defeat the Shredder when it was the Turtles that should have had the final blow done to the Shredder? But no, it was April. And if you take into context that if it would have stayed as Fitchner's character, it would have made much more sense that April would have wanted to deliver the final essentially defeating action to the Shredder. And this is because the Fitchner's character killed her father many years back. I think it was in 1999, when she was just a young child. He killed her father and revealed this later on in the film. So if he would have stayed in costume as the Shredder, his character, in other words, as the Shredder, and she was there hanging on the spear or spire with the Shredder, and she delivered the final kick, the final blow to him that knocked him out, essentially as a set of an action of revenge, that would have made much more sense. So again, watch the film, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about whenever it comes to having the scenes involving this quote-unquote Shredder that I don't even know who the actor's name is that played him on there, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, that it seems forced. All these new scenes involving this mysterious character, this Orokusaki, this guy, all these new scenes seem very forced. They seem out of context, they seem rushed, they seem like it was done late production, and that's because they were on there. Very fascinating stuff. So again, check out the film when you have a chance. It's a fun film. I just wish, again, they would have stayed, the producers would have stayed with the decision to keep Fitchner's character as the Shredder, because the build-up, knowing that he was essentially already one of the most powerful men in New York, mega rich, owned a corporation that essentially ran most of New York, if I'm not mistaken, had clear influence with many of the political levels there in New York. To have him essentially be this philanthropist and to have him be somebody for the people, and then in the background have him be at the same time masterminding the takeover of New York with the Foot Clan as the Shredder, it would have made beautiful sense. Like, it would have made something almost poetic to have somebody like this essentially look and be so good, be the ultimate bad guy within the film. So again, good film. I just wish they hadn't gone with that decision. Check it out when you have a chance. Post your comments, share your thoughts too if you've seen the movie. Did you like it? Is it something that you look forward to? Did it essentially surpass everything that you thought it would? Or was it a bore fest? Did it suck? Post your comments on there. Share your thoughts. I thought it was fun. So, as always, I'm interested in hearing your opinions. So, thanks again, everybody. Take care.